Can you hear me okay? Hello? Let me know. All right, Lee, you're always like the first one here, the first one to talk anyway. Welcome, Kathy from Mesa, Arizona. Lee, yes, Cherie's doing fine. She just gets moments of pain and stuff like that, just still achy, but she's doing okay. She's walking around all right and going up and down the stairs.
Yep, I'm doing better. Thanks for asking.
That I don't know if they heard you or anything, but they might have. Yeah, she's doing better. Thank you for asking. She's, this is not going to be done in a month or two kind of thing. This is going to take her a year and a half to overcome. So, but she's doing okay. So.
Yep.
Okay. See you, Sri. The back feels pretty good, I think, generally, right?
Yeah.
It's just the hip and those nerves down those legs that's killing her.
Well, I just tell him I had a lot of nerve damage.
Yeah. Yeah, she had a lot of nerve pain. So, but she's doing okay. Sunny South Florida. We scared you, huh? Because we were too loud and clear. I'm too loud and clear. Or you scared us about Cherie. So. Thank you for coming. I'm just going over my notes from the last one. I'll wait a few minutes or so for more to gather. Then we'll get going. You'll have to tell me. My son's been trying to convince me to move to more of a podcast kind of approach where you send in questions and stuff, or I choose subjects that I think are important or things that. Were you able to hear her? Oh, good. So what did come through the microphone then? He's trying to encourage me to go. He thinks I ought to go to do like a podcast, or I could even do a YouTube video, but it's only on a subject or two, because that might be easier for you to find. If you're looking for a particular subject, I could put that in the title of what I'm talking about, and then you could just go find that title and play it, and then you understand more about that particular subject, as opposed to answering questions. It doesn't mean that we can't do the answering question stuff periodically, maybe more like once a month or something. And the rest of the time I'm recording videos over a particular subject. So, hey, think about that and let me know what you think. I don't know if podcast is what I'm really interested in either. I'm trying to do I'm thinking more like a video presentation with some slides and maybe some bringing up the actual product, Family Search, and showing you how to do things. I don't know. Sometimes I think that may be more helpful. Okay, so several of you are saying no, you like this one better. So I just know that since Cherie had trouble and I haven't been doing it really regularly, that we've lost some people. So I'm anxious for people to come and ask more questions and us have a good conversation. I'm assuming you can see me. I don't know. I'm assuming so. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the last time we talked, and there were some questions that were brought up. One is, hey, is it possible to export the completed list to a spreadsheet? And we're looking into that. Actually, one of my other teams built that and is providing that. I ought to go look and see if it's really on. I know that they built it and we're working on it. Let me go see if they have that actually released or not. Yeah, they don't have that released yet, but I did see a demo of it. The ability to take a list and then export it into CSV so you could load it into a spreadsheet or something. And I think that's a good thing for the completed list. That'd probably be a good thing because we're only going to show us a certain set and not everything you've ever done. But if you update your spreadsheet regularly, then you would have all the stuff you're doing. Yeah, I put in this one, searching in books more effectively. They're going to be reworking some of that book stuff, so I'll bring that up to that team when they start getting into that. More beginner indexing. Yeah, beginning batches are grabbed really quickly because they're easy, and it's good for people to use them to learn. There you go, Daisy. Get you in here. It's our little poocher. I don't know if you've seen I can't remember if I showed you my little Daisy dog. So here's Cherie's dog. It's really Cherie's dog. This is little Daisy. Hey, Daisy. Over there. Look over there. Yeah, she's just the best little dog on the planet. And she doesn't really bark or anything. And she's never bitten anybody. And she's just the sweetest little dog. And she was a rescue puppy mill. But and she was really scared of us reaching out our hands or anything. So it's pretty cool that she's gotten really happy and kind of the queen of the roost now. And she kind of moves around, but she's really quiet. When we first brought her home, I really need to do it now because I can't find her sometimes. She's standing next to me and I don't see her. I used to put a little bell on her around her neck so I could hear that she was around. The following list, somebody reported last time that the following list needed to be refreshed a bunch of times in order to work. And I haven't been able to see that problem. It may be the size of your following. You can follow up to what, 5,000 now, or is it bigger? I can't remember if we updated it more. Might be up to 10,000, but I think it's at least 5,000. If you've got a big list, there could be issues with it trying to refresh and bring up. And then another person mentioned that when you go to add a spouse or a child to the family, the add box seems blurry. And that's just because we're using a different kind of font. We're in the process of sort of tightening up that sort of experience throughout the site. And we expect you've probably seen some of this sort of look that we're moving to. Let me see if I can figure out where one of those is. Now, if you go to Ancestors, that'll work. If you go to ancestors.familysearch.org, and by the way, we just released an update to ancestors.familysearch.org where you can go in and search for your family member. So you don't have to try to get it from Google if Google hasn't indexed it. You can just go to ancestors.familysearch.org and type in a name. So I'll do William Allen. You can't see this because I haven't got it set together to where I can show you my screen. And I do a search and they'll find all the matches. And then I can click the person that I know this is, and then I can see it. Now, if you go to Ancestors, you'll see a little bit more about what the text will probably look like going forward because this is using new technology that we're working on. So I would expect the experience on the person page to be using these texts that are a little bit more bold or legible, things like that. So go take a look at that and find out. All righty, let's see. Yeah, so you saw Sri, and she's doing well. Okay, what is the size of the largest tree? I just looked at that. I knew you were going to ask. That's why I remember that. Let me go look. I got to bring up my email. I think it's around, it's a little more than 600 million, if I recall. But let me double check here. I don't want to be lying to you. But it's pretty amazing the size of the tree. And it was very interesting. Roots Tech was a big deal, and Relatives at Roots Tech was a big hit. Lots of people came to try to find out how they're related, and it was pretty cool to watch what happened. We had lots of people came, and there were people that had 10, 20,000 living relatives that we're related to. Of course, they're all scrambling to try to send them a message or something so that you can stay in contact with them. And then we're still looking to see how we would help that experience be a little bit more into family tree in a way. Okay, so I'm gonna look at look for something here, see if I can find it. If we can't find it, then I can't find it. You'll have to just go with my 16 million or 600, and it was like 614 million. You go look one other place, see if I can find it. All right. Try one more time. There we go. It is currently almost 613 million in the biggest tree in the system. The next size is 63,000. So we really have one giant tree. As I've told you before, it's just amazing how that seems to happen as people come in and bring their tree in. No matter what country they're from, oftentimes they'll connect in some way. Let's see. Won't take the time to make slides take more of your time than answering the questions live. Yeah, we see you fine. What happened to the new way to see record hints? It disappeared. Are you talking about there was a test going on with record hints of a new look, and I think they only opened it for a certain select set of people. And what we do with record, and then they stopped and they're reworking it, because what they do is when we put out a new version of record hints, and we were trying to update the page to make it look better and more understandable and usable and things like that, filtering better. We usually only tested it with a limited number of people, like 1% or 2%. And if it looks like it's doing well, then we'll bump it up to 3 or 5%. And we watch and see how the response is to it, meaning are people confused and not attaching as much as they used to? Or is it doing the same, or is it doing better than the previous version of it? And so I believe we were in that process of doing that testing, and they found issues that weren't making it work right. So we weren't being as good at presenting hints that people felt comfortable attaching. And so we pulled her down, and now we rework it and do a little more research and a little more user experience testing, and then we'll get it back out and try again. And that's how we do with some, especially for the searching and hinting, because that is a big part of the site. And so we want to make sure that that works the best. So that works really well, not the best. We expect several things to work really well. Okay. Now let me see. Got any more questions coming up? They took the new record hint off beta 2. Yeah. So anyway, I'll write that down and just wonder about that so I can ask them more about it. All right, over on the questions that people submitted, there was one question that said, this is by Linda. It said, in my contributions, private people, I would like to be able to sort by year of birth. That way I can look once in a while and check for death records for the oldest people in there. Can't see that they are sorted or arranged in any particular way currently. Thanks for all your help. Yeah, they're not really ordered. They're kind of ordered in. I don't even think it's. I was looking at that, and I don't even think it does any particular order on private persons. Yeah, they're sort of just random order, whatever order the database has them in. So that is a reasonable thing. I think sorting is probably a reasonable thing in there. So I'm going to take that down. Sort private persons. And my contributions. That seems reasonable. Okay, next one. This is from Irene. She says, I know my ancestor immigrated because he was born in England and died in New York. When I put immigration into other information, it asks for date, place, and transcription or description. What is an example of what I would write for a description? Well, I think that sometimes you have the date, sometimes you have the place, and not both. The purpose of the description is usually if you have additional information about the immigration, like they immigrated on an ocean liner named blah, 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 and traveled with these set of people as part of their family. You know, this was a family. These were the people in the family. So it's just more information is what you would put in the description to help provide more additional information to others that come to that person and see the immigration. And so now they understand the time that it came, the place maybe they landed on the immigration stuff, and then who was there, what happened to them. You know, they went to Ellis Island or whatever, if that's the United States, or yeah, it says in New York. So, you know, Ellis Island, and they moved to New York, and, you know, there were 2 children and mom and dad, and their names were blah, 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 blah. I think it's good anytime you have records with more information on it. And usually those immigration have some names and stuff and ages. And so those are all good things to put in the description so that you have more information and more evidence that's placed there for others to use to help find more information about the common ancestors that you have. Okay, Nathan, excuse me, Nathan is asking the questions about the Ordinances Completed tab. And he says, Nathan says, being able to see the person's identifying data at time of ordinance is critical for verifying ordinances work shown in the PID's Ordinance tab. This verification is necessary because of what I will call Ordinance Hijacking. Not really Ordinance Hijacking, but okay. Family Search personnel probably have a better name for it. It's not hijacking. So Ordinance Hijacking occurs when person A with a completed ordinance is merged with person B who has no ordinances work done, and person B's identity overwrites person A's identity during the merge or thereafter. If they're the same person, then this doesn't matter, right? If the 2 people are the same person, then you want to merge them together, and there is no hijacking there. Now, if the 2 people are completely different people, then yes, there are 2 people there, and it appears that if they're merged, they look like one person, and the ordinances are done for that one person. So I can see that. As identities during the merge of thereafter. When this happens, Family Search Family Tree falsely shows completed ordinance for person A, forever denying ordinance work for person A unless someone detects the bad merge. Unfortunately, there are commonly no direct indicators that would make a user suspect ordinance hijacking has occurred for a victim PID. Yeah, okay. The data in the Ordinance Completed tab can be compared with the data in the PID's Ordinances tab to easily identify cases of ordinance hijacking. Thus, the Ordinances Completed tab provides historical data that would be useful to all users, but is currently restricted to the most recent 2 years and to ordinances completed by the user. Would it be possible to expand access to this data beyond the immediate user and beyond the 2-year window? The answer is no. We don't have, that's too much data. You would not be able to process that data. So he's asking for, I want to see all the ordinances that have ever existed or been done for everybody that received ordinances in order to find out if the ordinance is the right ordinance for that person or not. And you have to understand that, especially in the past, a lot of ordinances were done multiple times. I think my fourth, fifth great grandfather had endowments done like 20 times or something. 20, and I know several that I work with that have had ordinances done for their ancestors 30, 40 times, because there wasn't any mechanism to tell you early when they were doing ordinances early in the church that work was already done. So the scale and number of ordinances is way too big for anybody to be able to use that amount of data. So that's not going to work. We're not going to go beyond 2 years because that's also a data problem. So there's some people that have since the beginning of New Family Search to now have had hundreds of thousands of ordinances, and that would take quite some time to display that on your screen, let alone searching or sorting through that data. So that's not a request that's available. It's just not a thing that we could do and make it effective and efficient and quick enough, that it would be reasonable. Plus, you still wouldn't necessarily be able to see that. What you're really asking here is, can I see all the ordinances on a person page? And we don't do that because certainly there's our ordinances that are not valid. There's ordinances for other reasons that aren't available, and that's just not going to work either. And it would be confusing to you because of things in the past and all sorts of things, and the data, the way it was maintained over time. So your best choice is you take it. If you come across a person and you're not familiar with that person, then the only thing you could do to determine whether or not there's a potential mismatch would be go look at the change log. Probably since you're looking for ordinances, I'm assuming that's because this is Nathan. I'm assuming, Nathan, you're doing that because you're trying to find the name that was used. And you have to somewhat be careful there because there's lots of people have the same names or similar names. And just because an ordinance was done with that name doesn't mean it was spelled correctly or fully accurate. They may have used the first name and the last name and didn't have their middle name in the middle of it, because the most important parts are the first name and the last name. We do more inclusive stuff now because of the help with computers to put in more of the names on the cards and so forth. So what I recommend that you could do is you could go into a person page if you suspect that there's something funky going on there. And you could just go to the change log. And what I would do, I think the one that would probably work the best, and one of you out there could tell me if there's a better way, but I think you can I would go to the change log, and then I think we have a filter capability there we built in just recently, and I would put on something like name. I would click on name. So give me the name, and what you'll see is all of the names in that change log that this person has had over time. And so if you did that, I think that might give you some idea as to whether or not that person has retained their identity. So for instance, I just did my grandfather, and he had 3 names essentially in the system. Once it was William Allen Tanner, then it became William Allen Bill Tanner, because that's his nickname. He was known as Bill Tanner. And then it was changed back to William Allen Tanner, which is his official name. So If you are suspicious of a particular thing, then because maybe the ordinances look funky, I don't know. Maybe other things where the data doesn't seem to line up with the ancestor you think that should be, meaning the birth or stuff is off or other things don't look right. Then what I do is I just go in and go to change log and look at name, look at birth, maybe some of those things in filters, and then I think you can detect fairly well whether there's something there you need to drill in further. Let me see here. Okay, let me get back to here. Linda says, I would like to see a way to add a second spouse on the source attached instead of having to add her on the person page before being able to attach the record to them. I think Source Linker can do that. Everyone out there, let me know if I'm goofed up in the head. But I think if you have spouse one and then you have a record with the same, let's say, I don't know, male. Let's say the man is the same, but he has two spouses, and you found that between a couple of different records. You should be able to add that second spouse when you do the source linker, and so have her on the person page before being able to attach the record to them. I think you can do that. So if I'm wrong, you let me know. I think I remember doing that before. So let me know, people out there. If not, then I think there's a problem there per se. James says, is there a way to save the also known as when people get merged? I think all of the also known as come over too. Let me go see. I'm going to go pull something up here and do a merge. Let me go to a person I put in here that I feel more comfortable about playing around with. Okay. So I'm going to make sure I have an also known as on there. Okay, I put that in there. And then I will, hold on a second, this will take me a second here. I'm going to create another person. Okay, and all right, so now I got a person here. And I'm going to create this person, and now I'm going to merge them together. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to get this other person. Sorry, this is taking a little bit, but I think it's important to know that this works or not. Okay, so I get one PID. I'm going to merge by PID. Go over here to the other person. Merge by PID. Put the PID in. Hit continue. Now I'm doing the merge. Yes, continue. Continue. I'm just going to keep pushing continue. Finish merge. Put in a reason statement. Finished. Go to the person. And all of the other information, including alternate name, is now on that person. So it brought it over as I expected it to do. So I don't understand the question then, because we are, in this particular case, we are moving over all the also known as when you merge. And it goes either, it doesn't matter who is the survivor, all of that data is going to come over to the survivor. Okay, thank you. Let's see, Paul Bottino. On my reservation list, I see a little clock, and some of these have only a 3-month time before the reservation expires. I thought the clock was stopped on reservations with the temple closed. They are. You still have an expiration date, but that expiration date is never going to come. So when it gets really close to if we still don't have the temples open and the time for expiring that is supposed to happen, it'll just add a day every day. And so it'll never expire. So we're automatically adding a day, adding 1 day to every day that's beyond when your expiration date was. So if you're due to expire on May 1st, then on May 2nd, we'll add a day. May 3rd, we'll add another day, and it'll never expire. When we get to the point where the temples are open, all the sufficient number or all of them, we're still working through when we stop the expirations. But when we finally do, what we will do is we will look at all reservations. We will either make sure that when temples started closing, so there's 2 things that can happen. Let's say when the temples closed, you had 2 years to get that work done. Okay. And so now it's a year in the pandemic, and now, almost a half a year this year. Let's say it goes till the end of this year. I don't know how long. Let's say it goes till the end of this year. So that's 2 years that we have been extending those expirations for 2 years. At the end of that time, let's say January 1st, 2022, all the temples are open. At that point in time, what we'll do is we'll make sure that reservation has as much time as it did before temples closed. So if you had 2 years, you'll get 2 years extended on that particular day from that date on. If you had a year and a half, you'll get a year and a half. If you had a year, you get a year. Get the idea? If you only had, let's say back here 2 years before, you only had, 2 weeks left on it, and now it's when we're going to turn on the clock again, we're going to give you at least 90 days. So no one will have less than 90 days. And if you had more than 90 days on your reservation before the temples closed, then you will have whatever you had before the temples closed. Okay. So I think that's the fair way to go it, and that's the way about it, and that's what we're going to do. But until that time, don't worry about it. Those reservations are going to continue to extend, and they won't expire until that time comes. What are the discovery pages for? I just saw that on my grandmother or great-grandmother. I never saw that before. Well, discovery is an activity where you can go in and learn more about your ancestors, and the team has done a great job to make several discovery experiences. The intent was, if you've gone to one of these family history centers, a discovery center, they have screens, and you can look at famous people you're related to. You can look at what was going on when you were, 5 years, when you were born. You can find all that stuff on it. You can do lots of things like that. And the intent was to take those experiences from the discovery centers and try to bring some of those experiences onto Family Search. So others who don't have a discovery center in their area can have some of the discovery experiences. Now, all of them won't be able to be replicated on the site, but we do have some. And we just wanted people to be able to have those kind of experiences because they're kind of fun, and it can begin to whet the appetite of somebody that comes and they want to learn a little more. And you can learn some interesting stuff. We continue to work on those discovery experiences and add more data. What was happening in the world, what was happening in their specific location. We're just getting started into that, and they have a lot of good material, but we're continuing to add more from more countries and more areas. So it's just a way to have people just explore and understand about their family and see them in a little different way instead of just name and date, birth and death and burial, but to try to learn a bit more about their life and what life was like when they were alive and in a particular area. Yeah, Linda, I'm gonna go take that back. You said you can't add it. I think you can. You just have to change some settings there. So I will go back to that team and understand that. I think you just need to pick and change who's the primary person. But I'll just go double check. I haven't done that enough lately. I've probably forgotten exactly how to do that. But I'm pretty sure you can do it. I just haven't done it in a while. Okay, I don't see a discovery page for me. Do they not work for living people? Yeah, they do. You should be able to go to family search. You go under activities, and you can, like, all about me is probably the one that's most used about a person. So you go all about me. And so try that. Just go there. So just try that right now. Go to familysearch.org, go to activities, click all about me, and it takes you. You're in the tree. It'll take you and tell you what happened. So, for instance, in mine, the top news story of the year when I was born was Khrushchev became the premier of the Soviet Union. That was one thing that was a big deal. And then you could pick other of your ancestors or family, and then they'll tell you those kinds of things. So go take a look at activities on the menu, then all about me. And that's probably the easiest one to jump into. Okay. Okay, thanks, Lee, for adding some information in there. Appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to go back to questions. Here's the next one. And start thinking of yours because I'm down to just a couple. We still have about half an hour. This is from Dan. It says, it's been several years since I've heard or asked about plans for the sharing of information on Family Search for living persons among consenting extended family members. I hope that's still among Family Search development priorities. Is that the case? And is there a time frame for that capability? Thank you. Well, thank you too. Yes, we are working on it. We have built a service to create a group. So this what I call these shared family groups. I don't know what it's going to be called when we finally release it. But the first step is to be able to create a group. So name the group, invite people to the group, have them accept the invitation. So you have to be able to send out invitations, and they have to accept the invitations to come into the group. So we are working on that. It's going to be a while. It's still going to be a while before we are able to do putting persons into that space. We're actually starting off with our first stuff being more oriented around sharing ordinances with that group and maybe some communication between that group. Communication is very important with your family when you have that set. So you invite your family to this group, extended family, close family, whatever. You want to always be able to communicate to that family. So we're looking at communication mechanisms, messaging, things like that. Also sharing of ordinances to that group so that you can take your list and share it with the rest of your family while still managing those things. And while we're doing that, we have another team that's working on how do I do this movement of persons around so people can all see the same people in this shared area. And it's a complex, difficult task. There's a whole bunch of possible ways that this could be done. We've been looking at how others do these kinds of things, and we're trying to figure out the way that would be the simplest and easiest for people to understand how to do. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge because this is a pretty complex thing, especially because we think people may want to have more than one of these things. Just a second, take a drink here. Boy, hopefully I don't have to take a drink again for a little while because I'm out of juice here. Sorry, just had to open a bottle and pour some stuff into my cup. That's better. All right. So we are doing that. We're working on that. We plan on having it. It's certainly a desired thing. But I also suspect that people want to have more than one of these things. We're thinking two, probably. I could see where a family would, on one side, the wife's, the spouse's side, or the husband's side and the wife's side may want separate places for that. You have to think about sharing memories to these groups. We need to be able to make sure you can share memories to them and they see those memories. These may be memories that are more intimate experiences that some may be willing to share with other close members of the family. So there's a lot of complexity in this, and we're continuing to work the problem. So I think that, we certainly have several options that we're examining, and we're just going through that process. And since we don't want to waste time building something only to have it fail, we always try to be very careful in figuring out how everything would work for, not every single thing, because you're not going to figure everything out, but how it should work, make sure that model works okay, try it with some people. I know we've tried some in the past, but we just need to continue doing that. And that's kind of where we are. Okay. This is the last question that was pre-submitted. This is from Irene. She says, I know the surname of a particular person. The surname is Emerson, but I don't know the first name. If I just put Emerson, it looks like his first name is Emerson rather than being the surname. Should I put Mr. Emerson so it is clear? And the answer is yes. Go into the title field, not the first name field. Go into the title field and put Mr. or Mrs. If there's a woman that you find that you haven't found her first name yet, then you could put Mrs. and that works just dandy. And then you can, of course, put all your other information into that person page. And that works just fine. All righty. So that's it. That's all the questions that have been submitted. Does anybody out there have any particular questions they need answered or help or some problem they want to tell me about? I currently have no new record hints are not showing up. That's what someone was saying. They want to be able to sort private persons in my contributions and can't add a second wife, which I'll go try out and see. And I think Lee put some comments in there about that, or Lee did some of that. Any questions? Let's see, what are we at? 8:12. Let's see. Did you all, how many of you went to Roots Tech? Did you all go to Roots Tech Connect? And it would be great to hear or see, since we're only chatting, it's only one way talking. It would be great to see what you liked most about Roots Tech. What was it that you liked, and what maybe a couple of things that you didn't like? Because we had to hurry up and build this thing. We were going to partner with another, and it didn't work out. So at the last minute, we had to build it ourselves, and we only had about 2 months to do it in. So it was crazy all through the end of the year into February, and but I think it worked really well. Based on the time frame we had to build it, we thought we could maybe do it in 6 months, and then we only had 2 months. So I think it went well. Okay, so tell me, you liked it? Yeah, I liked it too. Could attend more presentations on your own timetable. Yep, because all the presentations were pre-recorded and available. The live ones went at particular times, but after the conference, all the live ones should be there for you to view. Yeah, relative thing was great. People really loved that one. There was a lot of people who came, a lot more than we ever expected, came to find out about relatives, and it was a big hit. And we had a lot of people. I mean, there was a lot of people that came to RootsTech. I don't know if they've released the numbers, but it was a lot more than you'd imagine. Really loved the main stage speaker. Yeah, they were good. They were great people. And like the shorter classes. Yeah, I wasn't sure how people were going to go with that, because the longest size class we were allowed to do was 20 minutes. I know a lot of some of the introductory guidance kind of classes were 2 or 3 minutes, because they're just saying, you need to go over here for this series, and they're going to talk about these 4 things or whatever. So, but 20 minutes. I wasn't sure how well people would like that, but if you put 20-minute snippets in a set of 3 or 4, then I imagine you get all the information you want, and you don't have to feel like you're sitting there for an hour. I like the relative connection. I have 2 people message me from my father's side. Isn't that great? You were to make this connection, and now you can keep that connection going, either outside with their email if they shared that with you, or within Family Search, and you eventually can get their email through that if they share that with you. And it's great to find relatives, and they know things that you don't know about some of your ancestors, which is really exciting and fun. I didn't have to go to Salt Lake in the dead of winter. Yeah, and it was not great winter. Well, it wasn't too bad. We had a lot of snow, but I don't know. We didn't get as much snow as we wanted, but Salt Lake got blasted up there. The mountains up there did. Love the length of the workshops. Yeah, love the expo hall. Yeah, those are fun. And a lot of vendors got really into this good stuff. With the shorter venue and the really small, tight classes that are talking about one subject or 2, and it was great. I mean, everybody really just went in well. There is some bummer about there's something about being together and rallying together and meeting your relatives in person. I get it, but this is pretty much the next best thing. Yeah, rewatching it, Larry. That's my sister-in-law, Larry. Thanks for joining. It's kind of fun to go back and rewatch if we missed things, or we forgot, or we remembered it or something. And you can sort of there's issues with sharing it with a bunch of people, I think, for the live, but I think the classes that are okay to go watch. I like the map for where relatives were located. Yeah, that was fun. And that's true. We showed you if it was in the United States or Canada, we showed you the state that they were in. If they were outside of the United States, Canada, then we showed you or Canada was province, so province and state. And if it was outside of Canada, we showed the country. And that's always cool to see where that population of your relatives are, to know where they are. And that's kind of fun. And I've never had the opportunity to go in person, but now was able to attend. Yeah, quote, attend. That's great. I liked grabbing what I needed in the classes and going back to revisit. I always learn one new thing. That's terrific. Thank you for that. I suspect, although they haven't announced anything, I'm guessing we'll continue to do these kinds of things, because the value of those recordings over time can be really valuable. And so there was a lot of great contributions, and it wouldn't surprise me if we take advantage of some of that. Well, for you, I mean, we want people to know how the system works, to learn about genealogy, and there's some great information in there. My understanding is those classes are going to stay up for a year, until we get going on the next one. So I like grabbing what I needed in the classroom and going back to review. Okay, the majority of the adults in our family caught at least one session that would never happen at an in-person conference. That's right. Yeah, we had, it was an amazing thing. The registration was just off the charts. I mean, you go to Salt Lake Palace, the Salt Palace stuff, to go get that in Salt Lake, and there's like max of 30,000 people. And on this virtual thing, it was many, many, many times that. And it's cool that it stayed up. We joke sometimes that we ran. There was a little glitch that happened partway through the conference, and it was actually YouTube was having a hard time keeping up. Well, I think that's great. If YouTube's struggling to keep playing those videos, because we put several of them into YouTube, not all, but many, and then you're out watching it. That's just terrific. I'm sure they loved it too, because they can get some of that action. Yeah, okay, Stephanie. I have had so many who did not attend ask where to start. Finding out what they felt they need has allowed me to help them find what they are interested in doing. Yeah, that's very helpful. Barbara, I shared the classes with our local genealogy club and historical society. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. A lot of work. I'll tell you, there was a lot of people when we asked for a lot of people to volunteer to teach classes, make their own videos. They had to make their own videos. I'm sure some videos were great. Some videos, quality and stuff were tougher. But they did it and they submitted it. And then we had a whole team of people that were reviewing all the videos, because we needed to review the videos, make sure they're appropriate. And so there was a lot of behind the scenes work, and they did an amazing job. And, we all donated. I donated a bunch of people to the cause so that they can get that done, because we wanted it to be a success and people to feel like they're something normal. Even if you're not there, if there's something normal that happened, and even better than ever. And we've learned a lot by doing this on how to share information, how to get more greater understanding to people on how the system works. And I think this will make us better in Family Search, knowing how to teach people and help people learn the things they want to learn. Yeah, I did miss sitting in your classes. That was my big miss. Well, sorry. And yeah, I tried to be enthusiastic. It's tougher. I like, me personally, I kind of play on the people that are there. If I see the people and how they're responding, it sort of energizes me. So some of those, and this, the thing that happened was, this was right in the middle of Cherie's stuff. And so it was good and bad for me. It was good to be distracted a little bit, but it was bad because I couldn't record a decent video. I spent 2 days on one 20-minute, 18-minute video, and I couldn't get it done because I kept screwing up. And it's just my head was somewhere else. So I had to take a break for a while, and then Cherie started getting better, and then I did a better job. So that was a bit of a challenge for me, but it was good for me to know that the Lord was there helping me, and He did. The Ancestry, I think, did a great job with their Expo Hall presentations. The 1 minute or 5 minute, the 5 minute things, man, that was great. They really jumped into that and did a great job there, I think, too. Okay, all right. I think we're about done. We're at 8:22. Nobody had any particular questions. And so I am going to, yes, prayers work. Thank you very much. They worked for the team. They worked for Cherie. They worked for people in pandemic. It was amazing when the pandemic happened. We were asked to find some activities that we could give to people. Think of all the missionaries, all the senior missionaries and the regular missionaries that couldn't leave their apartments. And so we were asked to provide things that they could do to further the work. And so we ran off and built a few things like helping people, turning a place into a standardized value, so it could we could get records flowing to those people. And we did probably half a dozen, no, 8, 10, 12 things that we built in a hurry to help with that. And that just fueled everything. During the pandemic, normally we would get about 6 to 7 or 8 million people added to the tree every month. And after a little bit after people got over the initial shocks of the pandemic, people were just going to town. I mean, we had, and still are pretty high. We are in the 11 to 12 million contributions in a month, and it doesn't seem to be slowing. It's still holding fairly well, and that just made it so that people recognized that there were things to do and they could do it, and we had plenty of hints to provide for people, and it just was a beautiful thing. And the tree just grew fantastically in that during the year of 2020, and the teams did amazing work. I mean, we built more stuff more effectively and more efficiently, and released more things in 2020 than we had in the prior years. It's just, there was just good focus on our side, and it was the blessings of Heavenly Father. I mean, he let us know the things he wanted us to do, and the engineers just jumped in and just worked it, and weren't distracted, and they did a great job. So I want to thank all of you for coming tonight, my night anyway. Thank you for coming. I appreciate all you do. I appreciate what you do to help others understand. You come and you ask your questions, and that's fine, but I know that a lot of you are the people that answer questions for others, and just help them out and keep them knowing and understanding, and make them feel comfortable. If they are confused, just take your time with them and being patient and cautious and thankful, and let them do the work. And what'll happen is people will feel the goodness about your ancestors. There's nothing better. This pandemic made everybody, and the world seems to be making it so everybody should be isolated. It feels like the world is making you be isolated. You're in this group, or you're this group, or if you're not quite in this group, then you're no good. All that sort of stuff to separate us and divide us, and their family history can change that. Family history can make you realize that we are all connected in some way, and we get the feelings, positive feelings, and comfortable feelings, and joyous emotional feelings in our heart when we find out information about our ancestors, and just help them find information, and they'll be so joyous and happy, and that will lead to more desires to have those feelings. And I think that will help our civilization and our world be a little more kinder, and be a little more friendlier, and be a little more understanding of each other, because things were different in the past than they are now, and there was hard times. There's hard times now, and there was hard times then. And if your ancestors made it through those hard times, then you're no problem for you. The kind of hard times we have now is nothing compared to what they had in the past, and they did it and made it through it. They made it through the 1918 pandemic. They made it through the Depression. They made it through all that sort of stuff. And you can make it through this too. And we can continue to be a good world with friendly neighbors and kind people, and accepting one another, and realizing we're all in this together. So thank you so very much. I will be scheduling some more of these. Not tonight. I'm going to do it another night. So we'll hear from you and get some planned for May. And please keep those questions coming, so we have things to talk about. And thank you for coming, and I really appreciate all you do. We'll see you later, okay? Bye-bye. Thank you.